Evening all. Well, in the spirit of this festive season of excessive gifts, I'd like to talk to you folks, or share with you, the greatest gift I've ever received. And this gift actually came in the form of difficulty. In fact, it came in the form of the most difficult 100 meters I've ever had to walk. And this gift was not made in the foundries of the North Pole by indentured elves, but in fact came to me from, I think, an even more enchanted place, which is the Isle of Laysan, located about 3,600 miles due southwest into the heaving depths of the tropical Pacific. It's a tiny coral speck, about 1,000 acres in size, located halfway between Asia and North America. It's actually the most remote place on Earth. And right now, Laysan, in true holiday spirit, is blanketed in white, as if a wayward blizzard had fallen upon it. And the white is, in fact, the bodies of hundreds of thousands of albatrosses who have gathered there to, celebrate a birth that I think is every inch as miraculous as any birth of Christmas theme. And that right now, a whole new generation of albatross are coming into the world. And they're coming into the world on the same stretch of beach where this incredible 100 meters of difficulty hit me just this past spring. Well, to stand there on the shores of Laysan, in what is maybe considered the most remote place on Earth, when I got there, which was in last March, I actually kind of assumed my difficulties were behind me. I'd actually come through an incredibly difficult period, having to endure, on one side, the criminal incompetence of government bureaucracy, attempting to grapple with the admittedly Herculean task of getting 7 volunteers out to the island of Laysan, as well as with all the gear, food, and water they'd need to survive there unassisted and work there and be productive for our whole 4-month duration. And it was a pretty difficult expedition to launch, I have to say. Basically, we needed all our food, all our gear, and all of our water. And as sort of an added bonus, because the island is a quarantine island, an incredibly fragile, delicate jewel, everything we took with us had to be bought new, frozen, and bug-bombed, including the very clothes we were wearing. So just to stand on the shores there, the foot of this difficulty had itself been a very difficult process. Didn't stop there. As I said, we had all our gear. We'd just been dumped on the shore here by a little skiff that came from this big black container ship that had brought us there in the first place. And we had our food, our gear, and our water. And we had to get it up the beach, about 100 meters up a hill to where our camp was. And I guess I just want to say, you never realize how much water you consume in 4 months until you have to carry it all over sand. We were literally carrying thousands of pounds of water up this hill. So we were going at pretty much 100 pounds at a go up this 100 meters. And this was complicated, just aside from the sheer physical exertion, by the omnipresence of the island's birds. Laysan is one of the great bird Edens of planet Earth. Scattered across the ocean are these sort of enchanted isles that the seabirds of the world can use as their refuges and their breeding spots. And this is an island of 1,000 acres, only about the size of Stanley Park. And it is home to over 2 million breeding seabirds. They're just so dense, it's actually an impediment to movement. So while you're walking, carrying these incredible things of water, you're actually having constantly be avoiding them. You know, all these adorable baby albatrosses are just in your way. The frigate birds are these giant kind of buccaneer birds, about the size of a bald eagle with these huge hooked bills, are constantly in your face trying to grab your hat or just kind of pushing you around. They really don't have much respect for personal space. And all around you are the waddling bodies of the adult albatrosses. And if you were to actually stray off our little trail, you'd almost instantly just sink into the sand because the entire surface of the island is just honeycombed with tunnels, which are the breeding spots of the smaller seabirds. And upon going through the sand, you'd of course have to drop everything yourself carefully carried up the beach, dig out the burrow in order to rescue the adorable little puff of down who lives inside there. So for me, sort of what really encapsulated that difficulty was a moment when we were coming, all of us were in this line of us, all 7 of us, hauling these huge things of water. And coming down our trail at us was a tropic bird. And a tropic bird, for those who don't know, they're almost mythological looking. They're these stunning birds of the tropical seas. They have this bright fire engine red beak, this immaculate white body, just shining white. And out of their tail, they have these scarlet streamers that come, these beautiful plumes that look almost like a phoenix. But beauty notwithstanding, in order to swim well, their feet are actually located so far back on their bodies that these magnificent animals cannot walk. So this stunning sort of ethereal creature is actually humping its way down the beach, sort of pushing itself along. And we just have to get out of its way. So it's not going to give way to us. So there are these 7 large humans and all our various things we're carrying, just having to kind of get aside. Well, this bird kind of casually, nonchalantly sort of humps its way down the beach past us, pushing us out of the way. And that brings me to sort of, I guess, what was the most pervasive aspect of Laysan difficulty for me. That it is hard to walk on Laysan because you're not quite sure if you're dreaming or not. You've come to a place where man is far from the measure of all things. You're in sort of an enchanted kingdom of seabirds that I think in many ways is a time capsule to a vanished world, a vision of Earth as it was. There's this astonishing natural abundance where these animals of the open ocean, some of the most spectacular creatures on the planet, some of the most beautiful, most strange animals you can imagine, are performing the rituals, the dances, the displays that have kept them going, their species going for millions of years. It's magical, and it's hard to walk because you're just kind of stupefied. You're almost bowled over by the sheer beauty of it. And that difficulty didn't go away. I walked that walk hundreds of times. I was there for 4 months, and that was just my walk from the lagoon to the camp. But the entire time I was there, I never really grasped it. It was like a gift that was too big for my hands, too big. My limited intellect could not really fully comprehend what I was experiencing. And so it was difficult from day one, but that difficulty never went away. Right up until the last time I walked that path, which is when I walked it down to the ocean to jump into a skiff and to be ferried into the belly of a huge black container ship that was squatting in our otherwise pristine turquoise lagoon and headed back to civilization. And you'd think after being on Laysan for a while and all that difficulty and bother, that the difficulty would be over, that I'd come back to the belly of this particular beast and be perfectly content. Not so, because now the difficulty is kind of reversed, especially when I first came home. It was difficult to walk and not be giving way to birds. It was difficult to walk down the street and not be seeing the animals that had been my friends and neighbors for 4 months. It was difficult to sit down and not have albatrosses walking over to me to untie my shoes or sort of nibble my hand or just stare into my eyes. It was difficult and painful. I felt and I feel still that my time in Laysan, as I said, was a gift, and a gift that I was not fully able to receive. It was large and I am small. But it was a vision of a world that not too long ago was all of our common heritage. A world, as I said, where man is far from the measure of all things, where we are part of a larger community of living things. And we are able to sort of interact and connect to these vast spectacles of wildlife that really not so long ago was the experience of humans on the entire Earth. And it's something that I really want to hold on to. So right now, there's this new generation of albatross coming into the world. And for the next 60 years after they leave Laysan Island in this coming spring, they'll be traveling through a world, an uncertain world of constant change and constant fluctuation, the strange, shifting, mercurial world of the open ocean. Yet, through all that, these animals will always know the exact spot where Laysan is. No matter if they're off right here in BC, or in the Aleutian Islands of Alaska, or off Japan, they'll always know through an incredible ability of navigation that we're only just now beginning to understand. They'll always know this one fixed point. I guess you can imagine Laysan is sort of like a lodestone for them. It's a lodestone for them, and in many ways, a lodestone for me as well. And that's the gift.